You're welcome, bro.
I didn't even know you were a big fan of books, bro. What's three books that you would recommend us and the listeners to
Mm-hmm.
read?
Good question. All right, so one that was recommended to me by one of my older cousins, "Think and Grow Rich" by Napoleon Hill.
Oh, yeah.
It's a classic text, so definitely read that. If I'm being honest, I haven't read the whole book in its entirety. I read a good portion of it, but not the whole thing. Um, Another book I would recommend reading is I don't know, I forgot the author's name, but it's called "The Way of the Superior Man." And then a third book. A book that I'm still kind of working on. It's called the Human Odyssey. What's the name? What's the author's name? Something Sterling, I think. I think that's his name. But yeah, it's called the Human Odyssey, which basically takes you through the so-called 12 stages of life,
Mm-hmm.
from pre-birth to, like, I don't know, because I haven't got there. But yeah, it's an interesting book. Like, I'm reading this and I'm like, what the heck? Like, I've gone through that, or I'm going through that, and it's whenever you can match your experience with something that you're reading, there's just some sort of power in that, right? To me, it's like magic, right? So I would recommend those three books. I mean, there's so many books out there, man. Like, this is what I would recommend to people about buying a book or checking out a book: is have a topic or have a subject in mind,
Mm-hmm.
and then search up books that are about that. Read about the books and then make your decision from there, right? Because
Yeah.
I was a book hoarder. I was like buying book after book after book and just storing them and not reading any of them. And there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. But it kind of defeats the purpose to buy a book which is meant to be read and not read it, right? So, and that's something that I fell into, was just collecting books, but not taking the time, blocking the time to read it, right? Because it's a struggle. I struggle to actually just like kind of sit down, slow down, and just read, right? Even if it's 10 minutes of reading, you know that, and that's probably why you're struggling to read the books I gave you, Pedro. Is you're not the only one. Like, we acknowledge that we want to do it, but then we don't do it. And I want to ask Alex here, why is that? Why do you think us people in society, we struggle to do the things that we want to do?
I don't know, bro. I feel like sometimes I think that before we go into something, I think that we already come in with the thought of like it's boring or it's a known or I don't know, man. Like just like you say you want to do it or you say you want to carry on with what it is that you're planning, but at the same time, it's like
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to leave the comfort of like replacing old habits. You get me? So a lot of us would rather just let's say there's a more of a dopamine spike by us being on our phone than there is us reading a text or picking up a book or picking up an article. And I feel like since
Mm-hmm.
we're also in a world where it's constantly like pleasure, 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 it's like everywhere you go, like if it's not happy, it's not right. And in all honesty, like when you look at life in general, that's not how life works. You get me? Not every day that we go through in our lifetime, or the time period that we get to be on this earth, is a good one. Like sometimes
Mm-hmm.
there's experiences that like they suck, or I've lost two important people over the span of these 2 years, and sadly that's just life. Like you just kind of like take it in. And I think that it happens with like reading. You get me? Like I rather be on my phone watching, I don't know, Netflix or YouTube, or like still be like I don't how do I say it, like basically just get a dopamine spike by something that's a lot easier than me trying to comprehend something that I might not even understand. You get me? Because some people, like for me, I really get invested in like psychology. I like learning about psychology, physiology, anatomy, and anything that has to do with kinesiology, basically. And I know that a lot of times
Okay.
when I'm looking at certain things, it's like I mean, it's interesting and I'm learning, but it's not as exciting as watching the fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles beat fucking Shredder's ass. You get me? Like
Yeah.
it's and I think that's the thing, bro. I think that in a way, like at least in today's age, we're brainwashed with like if it's not making you happy or if it's not like dopamine spike or if you sincerely don't like to do it, like we don't
Mm-hmm.
do it. You get me? It's like it's
Yeah.
like you want to look for like pleasure instead of actual like growth. And like Pedro says time and time again, growth is uncomfortable. It's not comfortable.
Yeah.
And I feel I want to add to that. I feel like it's easier to watch the movie
Mm.
than to read the book about the movie. So I feel
Yeah.
like it's like, oh, and I'm guilty of that, bro. There's times I'm just like, I would as faster to just watch the movie than to read the book. You
Right.
know, and
Yeah.
I've been guilty of that too. You know what I mean? But I feel like that's what it is, and it's not to me the reason why I haven't got to that book, your book that you gave me, is because I'm reading the other book, the Relentless book. Now,
Okay.
now there's times
Relentless.
when
Is that the
rel-
one?
With Tim Grover,
the one that yeah, the one that trained Kobe
Kobe.
Bryant. And,
Kobe
Yeah.
Bryant,
yeah.
Michael
Okay.
Jordan.
So
Yeah.
I'm reading that book, but with that being said, it's like you said, Alex, is we go went into something and we're like, oh, because well, for me, I don't want to go to read the books you gave me yet because I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
Meaning like I'm reading this book and I don't want to jump from book to book to book to book. I want to give this book my attention and then boom, and on to the next.
Right.
But even before I got into books and all of that, like speaking for myself, um, I just thought they were boring, honestly.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to read it, unless it has pictures that I can see, But honest,
Yeah.
but no, being honest. But now,
Right.
as I'm growing older, I feel like words are powerful, man. And as you read, okay, but this is what I wanted to say. Reading a book is imaginary. It's imagery. You can have an imagination when you read
Mm-hmm.
versus when you just see the movie, you just see the movie and you see pictures. But when you read, it's like you paint the picture in your mind. You know
Right.
what I mean? And like when I'm reading this book and it's talking about Kobe and Michael and all of them, it's like you picture them training, you picture them, you know, uh, versus if they're doing a movie and it just,
You can watch him train.
okay, you watch it, but with that being said, um, I kind of forgot what I was going to say, but yeah,
We gotta look that up.
books.
We gotta look up. Why do we forget what we're gonna say when we're talking?
No,
That
yeah.
happened to me earlier too, and I'm like, I just start thinking like, what the heck? Like being a human being is it's something, bro. It's some quite an experience, man. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something
It
to what
is.
Pedro said. Also, another thing, bro, that I think is also we're kind of like programmed to just kind of like scroll through information quite fast because we're on our phone, bro. And
Yeah.
sometimes like people will catch us with like a very catchy title, very controversial title, and like we'll read it and then they'll explain like the whole topic in itself, and it's just like we fall just for the title just because it's like some controversial shit, and then we don't read like the whole like we don't get the whole picture, we don't read the whole story, and we don't really see like the background of why like this person said that or why this other person said that. And then at the same time we're a society, especially like in like these big cities, we're constantly moving. It's like we're doing something, the day goes by fast, so at the same time it's like we have our own set routine, and sometimes it's just like we get into the habit of those things, and it's just like our life is moving so fast that we don't. I mean, reading a book is slow, bro. Like it's slow, and there's instances where like I don't know if it's happened to any of you guys, where like I'll read a page and it just seems like I kind of flow through it, and I didn't even get a grasp on anything that was said, so I have to go back and read it a couple times.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
That's true. We're like this. We live in a fast-paced society. Especially to your point, big cities. LA, living in LA is a lot different than living somewhere in the Midwest, right?
Yeah.
On the, on a farm or something, right?
Yeah.
So, which is why at times, like, this is off the topic, but like I work in banking, right? So
Mhm.
I meet all types of walks of life, and I'll get a customer that's from us, like a small state or not a big city, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, do you live in LA now? And they're like, yeah. I moved to LA, and I'm thinking in my mind like, why? Like, why did you come to this beast of a place, right? Like LA is a beast, right? It's fast paced. It's crazy. You know, it's beautiful, but it's crazy. Like, why would you leave calmness, right, and tranquility? At least that's how I would see it for something that's like crazy to me, right? But they have their reasons, and I say that because like whenever I go to Oregon, where some of my family lives, it's for me it's a peaceful getaway.
Yeah.
You know, from LA and the you know, this place is like it's so fast paced, man, and everybody's moving and you know, like we live in a society where people are willing to trample the next person to get where they want to go, right? And
Sadly.
it's crazy, you know. So you got to always be on the. You got to play good offense. You got to play good defense. You know,
Yeah.
you got to be prepared for someone that wants to take you out, even though that's may not be your intention. Because my intention is not to take out the next man or the next woman. It's kind of like I just want to. I'm just doing me. Like as they say, you know, I'm in my own lane and I'm doing me. And it's like, hey, if you want to come into my lane with me and be partners on this journey to achieve something, then by all means. But if you're trying to take me out, I got to defend myself now, right? So and it's so competitive, right?
Yeah.
And to me, there's nothing wrong with being competitive, but then it just gets to the point where it's like it's toxic, it's disgusting to me, right? Like the things that people would do to level up, right? And I just see it everywhere. I just see it everywhere, and it's a turn off.
That's why like it's always good to have that. I know it sounds like a broken record, but you know that accountability. You know accountability, and you said why accountability with that, but it's always like
yeah.
It's because people see. I used to see competition. Like I'm gonna give you a perfect example. At work, there's times when I kind of like manage, you know, everything, the whole warehouse, you can say, on Fridays. And then there's times but there's times when during the week, this girl runs it, and everybody's, oh, she's the best. But then I became good at it, and then they were training somebody else. And in my mind at the time, at the time, I was like, nah, like what the heck? Like no, nobody's gonna replace that because that's my spot, right?
Yeah.
But then I had to humble myself, and I was like, God, like, humble me. You know what I mean? Like I'll come to you humble, and I can't be thinking like that. You know, like I want people to succeed, and that'll be selfish of me, and that'll be a hypocrite. I'll be a hypocrite for even thinking like that.
Right.
The way that I view things, right? So I was like, you know what? When I see this person, I was like, man, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Why? Because again, I cannot be sitting here and saying empowering people, empowering leaders, and I'm over here thinking the opposite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and that's why I bring up the whole accountability part, where I'm just like, I wanted to be accountable right now and talk to you guys about it as well, but also with you know, like, I don't know if I should have went to him like, hey, bro, I was thinking like this, and forgive me. You know what I mean? But I haven't went up to him and told him that. I just something that I'm kind of like had to work myself with God, and I was like, God, forgive me. Hey, you got this. You know what I mean? So I feel like during those times, I feel like we need people like that in our lives. That, you know what, like, Gary, I see you doing this, and accept feedback and criticism and build each other up, and instead of tearing each other down, like picking each other up, and I see that in both of you, you know.
Yeah, the thing with giving feedback, though, bro, sometimes it's like a hit or miss because some people are like too prideful, or like they have their ego way up there. Then when you're just trying to give them, you know, a little bit, you know, a little set piece of advice, they're just like what the fuck do you know? You get me? And sometimes like we do know, bro. It's like bro, like I've been through that. You get me? Or I've done something very similar, and like I'm just telling you to help you along. But sometimes people get so enwrapped in their, I don't know, themselves and their ego, and they just kind of like push it to the side, thinking like, hey, like, You know, like you're
Yeah.
not where I want to be. You get me? And sometimes it's like, bro, I'm on your pathway. You get me? I'm not where you expect me to be or where I want to be myself. But it's like I have a little bit of knowledge of like what you're going through right now or what you're trying to build or what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then like again, like people take it the wrong way sometimes, you know. So so I agree with that, you know. Uh, Honestly, I've been in situations where even my brother would tell me, and I've been in situations where I'd be like, bro, I know what I'm doing. Like, you don't have to tell me. And I had no clue. You
Yeah.
know, myself, I was thinking, like, oh, yeah, I got it. Yeah, I know how to save. I know how to do all of this. And no clue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I started to grow. I started to grow when I humbled myself. And I was like, okay, how could I learn? How could I stay teachable? How could I stay a student? Because none of us are none of us are going to be perfect.
Yeah.
We can try, but trying, and
Mm-hmm.
but how can we stay a student in every aspect in life, spiritual, financially? How can we learn from other people? I don't know. I do not know it all. You don't know it all. You don't know it. We don't know it all. You
Trust.
know.
Yep.
But with everybody's criticism and everybody's point of view, we can elevate each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but like you said, not everybody sees it like that. So a question for you, for both of you, question for both of you: how can we approach somebody? Maybe you can say two points of views. Somebody that wants to learn, and somebody that's like that wants to learn but doesn't want to take that criticism or that feedback or how would you guys react in that situation, or what would you guys say in that situation?
Go
You
for it,
want to go
Gary.
first,
No,
Alex?
go for it, Gary.
All right. So let me just clarify your question, Pedro.
Yes.
You're saying, how would we approach two different types of people? One that's open to you teaching them, and another person that doesn't really want to.
That wants to, but
Mhm.
it's hard. It's kind of he's I guess you could say like a knucklehead.
They're like a
You know,
skeptic.
like doesn't
Okay.
like yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. I would say the most important for both of them actually is just to to stand in your truth, right, and lead by example, no matter what. Don't ever waver from that. So
Wow.
the one who's a skeptic will be a skeptic until he or she chooses not to be a skeptic anymore, right?
Mm.
That's on them. The best thing you could do, like I said, is just lead by example, stand in your truth, and that's it, right? Because the one that's like open like a book to you is going to receive all this, because they don't really have the skeptic mindset, which can be it can be kind of harmful to them too, because like if they're not questioning and they're just openly accepting all this information, then
Yeah.
you can easily lead them the wrong way, right? So
Exactly.
skepticism is not a bad thing. It can actually help you out, right? So, but I would just say the most important thing is to just be truthful, be honest, lead by example, and don't ever waver from that, because
Integrity.
especially for the person that's a skeptic already, right? So if you kind of shift and show them something that's not honest and not truthful, it's going to prove their skepticism to be right, which will probably in turn keep them there longer than it will bringing them out of it, right?
Mm.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
So yeah,
Integrity, basically.
yeah, definitely integrity is a big part of it. So
No, yeah.
but go ahead.
Yeah, basically he's spot on, bro. I think that the person that's a little bit skeptic, I mean, you have to prove, bro. You have to show, like, you have to, like he mentioned, lead by example. If you lead by example, then there's no denying. You get me? It's like if you keep scoring, like they can't deny you, bro. Like you got to be that good, bro. And somebody that is open to everything, just like you mentioned, like those people could at times be very vulnerable and gullible. So at the same time, you want to lead them into the right direction, and at the same time, just kind
Of
of like
course.
showing up, proving yourself. I think that in today's age, it's just kind of like easy to talk and just be on social media and just kind of like open your mouth anywhere you go, talking about like, hey, this is how you do this and that. Oh yeah, or where's it at? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what the things that you're talking about, like that. Sometimes, like people talk about like certain morals and ethics, for example, and you know these people. Like, I'm not even gonna name people, but you know these people, and they don't live by those words, bro. And so, like, you always want to be around like those people, like Gary mentioned, that lead by example, bro. That lead the troops. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
Because if not, like, you're just bullshitting them, bro. Like, you're not just bullshitting them, but you're bullshitting yourself.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And that's
Yeah.
something that it's like when you're living, obviously, in truth, you'll be under a microscope. Like one mess up, one mess up, you're
Yeah.
gonna see.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, like I even felt like the hypocrite because, like I said, I will go run every morning. I'll go run. I'll try to beat up my alarm clock. At 4 o'clock, I'll be up, and my alarm was for 5. I'll go run and do this and do this, and people would tell me, "Oh, if you run, you can mess up your knees as you get older."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, can you?" And then my gym partner would tell me, "Yeah, bro, don't even run. Like maybe just walk on the treadmill a little bit, but just work out." So again, like everybody has a different style of routine, a different style of workouts. I even seen pictures of, oh, this billionaire wakes up at 7, this millionaire wakes up at 5. Some wake up at 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
basically, it's a routine that basically.
Some wake up at fucking 12 noon. No. Hey, okay.
But everybody has a routine that works for themselves, and
Yeah.
I feel like as long as it's make you see, as long as you see results in your routine, that's all that matters. But
Yeah.
I don't want to live by anybody's approval. Like meaning, like I'm not saying that I don't live for people or anything. Like I want to be someone that okay, like that. This is who I am, and but I'm willing to grow through the process.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like not saying just uncomfortable, but I don't want to just be content in one spot. Like okay, like I want to learn from you and I want to learn from you. But again, not every leader is gonna be every leader is gonna have its flaws.
Yeah.
So you take what you can from everybody, and honestly, I was very spectacle on, not spectacle, but I was very a hard critic on leaders at my job and leaders around the people that I hang with. Because, like I said, now I'm getting serious about my talk and my walk and everything. So I'll be like, oh no, this is that. I wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't be doing that. So I became more of a critic than someone that wanted to become great within myself to instill in other people.
Yeah.
So with that being said, is don't be hard on those people because again, they're human. I've been through it, and I could just be here and be like, "Hey, Gary or Alex, like I don't like this about you, or I don't like this about you," but we all have that good and leadership qualities in us that you can take from me, I can take from you, and share with other people. So that's kind of
Yeah.
like the things that because I know I talk a lot about leadership and that's something that's very important to me because like I know there's a lot of us that don't feel like that when we really are.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you about everything you said, to be honest. I agree with all of it. What stood out to me is people that we view as leaders, at the end of the day, they didn't get to that point or earn that title without making mistakes, right? And without, having flaws. I think one of the best things that anybody that claims to be a leader or is viewed as a leader is brutal honesty, right? And showing your flaws, acknowledging that they're there, putting them out on the forefront so that the world can see that you're authentic, right? So that the world can see that in themselves, right? So if I'm leading a group of people or what have you, I want them to know that one, I'm not a perfect leader, and you're not a perfect follower, right? So we're all learning together. I'm just so happen to be the one that's leading us, right? But without them, I can't be a leader. You know what I'm saying? And without me, they don't have anybody to lead, right? So it's like it's a two-way street, right? And it's like they work hand in hand to me, right?
Yeah.
The ability to be taught and to be coached, the ability to ask questions when you don't understand something, the ability to challenge your leader a little bit, right? Give a little pushback just to kind of see, just to kind of test yourself. Sometimes you got to test yourself, right? Because if you want to be, in my opinion, if you want to get to this status of leadership, a higher status, you're definitely going to be tested. So test yourself, right? Test yourself, right? Like, let me test my ability to do something. Let me see how strong it is, because if not, it's going to crumble, right? Your leadership and your maybe even your confidence in yourself is going to crumble if you don't make it stronger by putting it to the test. So that's just my thoughts about like what you were saying about leadership.
Yeah, well, I mean, every leader that you are gonna experience in your life, bro, it's not he's not gonna be perfect. I mean, he's human. You gotta kind of like remember that, and then at the same time, bro, you also want to take into consideration all of the experiences that you have as a person are important to you
Mm-hmm.
and they're individually yours, right? So there's gonna be some aspects, bro, where maybe what your leader used to do is something that you don't really want to take away with you. You feel me? It's kind of like the good old Bruce Lee philosophy. You get me? Like just use what is useful and discard what is unnecessary. You feel me? And then there's gonna be instances where like you're gonna remember like, oh, my leader used to do this, or one of the people that would lead the charge and so basically used to do that, and he'd basically keep everybody under control. And basically you just, like you mentioned, you start to take away little things that might be useful in certain situations, and you might discard things that just won't necessarily work with your group. You get me? It's like, for example, like me as a coach, I have to understand basically who I'm working with. And I think I told you this a bunch of times, Pedro. There's instances where my athlete is a little bit more shy, so I'm not going to be screaming at him and making him more nervous. There's other times where my athlete needs to be fucking kicked in the ass. You get me? And I put a boot up his ass, and he'll get going. So ultimately, it's just like
Yeah.
you got to understand like your environment, your people, and understand what method or what type of, I don't know, technique you're going to use to be able to not just
To get the best
present
out of
yourself
someone.
as a good yeah, exactly, present yourself as a good leader, but also make everybody around you like elevate them, basically. You get me? Because I feel like as leaders, bro, you want to create other leaders. You feel me? Like you don't necessarily, at least not for me, bro, like you don't necessarily want to be having followers all your life, bro.
Of course.
Right. Want to make leaders out of people, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I think for every leader too, there's a degree, an aspect, if you may, of this ability to follow as well, right?
Mhm.
Leaders follow a discipline. They follow a routine that works for them, right? They
Yeah,
follow principles, right? So
exactly.
we're all leaders and we're all followers to some extent.
True.
Maybe more so on the leadership side, maybe more so on the following side. I don't really know, but um, I just think that, yeah, man, like they're inseparable. Those two things, following and leading, right? And I think it boils down to what are you following, and how are you leading?
True.
And for someone that's people like us that are always seeking improvement in our life and better results, these questions are necessary to ask ourselves, routinely, like, because if we're seeking improvement, then it has to be done in our thinking. It has to be done in our actions, right? You know, so yeah, man.
Yeah.
Keep leading
No, yeah, and
and follow
yeah,
the
you're right, bro.
rules.
Like you have to learn how to lead and follow, bro. I think as a good leader, there's instances where you have
Yeah,
to kind of like fall back and follow. You get me? It's like exactly what you're saying, bro. It's like, maybe in a certain environment, like it's my environment. You get me? It's like I understand everything that's going around me. I understand basically the ins and outs of where I'm at. You get me? But let's just say like I'm in the medical field. You get me? Right there, I lose my leadership, right?
yeah,
Because of course you don't want a coach, operating you on the table. You get me? Like you want an actual doctor. You feel me? So then of course
right,
you basically hand
right,
over leadership, right? Or you basically follow, the doctor's instructions. You get me? I feel like being a good leader is also following, the next guy. You get me? Or the next leader in their environment. At least that's the way I see it.
It's like it's like kind of like okay, you lead for a season, and then it's good to like fall back and let somebody else lead,
Mm-hmm.
and then as they lead, you learn from them, and so on and so forth. But it's like you guys said, it's like it goes hand in hand, because once you fall back and you let that person take leadership, you're still going to be a leader and a follower at the same time, and then those that are under, basically, you can say, you can bring them up and encourage them, and
Yeah, and it's also good.
Mold them,
yeah, it's also good to have just basically good leaders eventually created through your guidance, bro. Because sometimes those people become like kind of like counselors to you, bro. Like they'll give you like different point of views, and they won't necessarily be yes men. You get me? Because a lot of people have the tendency of like being leaders and having everybody under their control, and they'll basically agree with like everything the leader or the boss says, right? Eventually you want to create like leaders that, like they'll see you as their equal, you feel me? And they won't necessarily just kind of like agree blindly with everything that you say. And like we mentioned, like that's the only way to get better. You get me? Iron sharpens iron. You get me? But you can't necessarily do that if the person's always agreeing with you.
Exactly, and then like I love that, man. I love that I want to be in an environment, and I'm not saying that I'm not, but I want to be in an environment where I can ask my leaders or even my friends because I see you guys as leaders. You know what I mean? That I can ask you guys like, hey, question it, and why do you guys do this, and is it beneficial, and maybe we should do it this way, and then you guys can, not compete with each other, but iron sharpens iron. Like, how can we become better, and what are some of the actions that we can take? Maybe we can try this. Just different things that we can do. But you learn by asking questions. You never know until you ask, right? And then asking, you should receive. So I feel like that's the right approach to take in any situation. Just ask, and then you should learn. Because even at my job, bro, I was afraid to make mistakes. Like, I'll go and I'll count this or whatever, or I do something, and I'm just like, man, I'll be afraid to make mistakes. And one of my managers was like, look, don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how you'll learn. But in my mind, it's like, I want to be the best that I can. I don't want to make no mistakes at work. Because I'm human, so I'll make mistakes. But I'll be like, at work, I want to be the best that I can, because I want to be the best at work. And I've made so many mistakes, but throughout the process, I even told my manager, I was like, man, this is I actually just not purposely made mistakes, but I made a lot of mistakes, and I wasn't hard on myself. But I learned from the mistakes, and I could say that I made some changes. I made some changes, and I'm doing things differently, and I see a better outcome. And I feel like the people understand, and I understand as well how my changes, not just reflect, but also you can get a different outcome in the job, I guess you can say, in the job place that I work at,
Yeah.
or in your environment or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. If I may add to the conversation, you mentioned failing is to me, failing is one way to learn, right? If you have the learner's mindset, if you have this desire to improve, because it seems like that's a topic right now, is just improving. Is like, if you fail, okay, it sucks, right? It doesn't feel good. You might be down on yourself for X amount of time, but a failure can be flipped into one of the most valuable lessons you ever had, right? And it makes you a better person, right? Just like I'm a big fan of certain athletes, right? I'm a big fan of anybody who is striving for greatness. So let's think Michael Jordan, considered considered the greatest of all time. I consider him one of the greatest of all time because there's been a lot of greats, but nonetheless, he has missed a lot of shots, and he's even said, if I gave up because I miss X amount of shots, then I would never really know that I can improve, right? Or that I can get to the next level. So it's not, don't let your failures hold you back, but let them propel you forward, move you forward. Don't let this mindset of I can't do something hold you back. Just let it drive you to kind of find how you can do it, right?
Of course.
And this world that we live in with access to so much information is it can really help us out, man. Like YouTube and Google and all these platforms, they're hurting us and they're also helping us, right?
Yeah, that's true.
They're hurting us to some degree. Like, I don't know, like I'm consumed by my phone, right? Like I come home from work and I have a long commute, an hour on average to get home, and then when I get home, what do? I go straight on my phone and I'm consumed by by reels, by these short clips. And Pedro, you sent me episode 1 of this podcast, and I listened to at least like 30 minutes of it, right? Not all of it, but Alex was talking about how we're constantly being fed short snippets of things, right? You see one, you see it 2, 3, and then before you know it, you just wasted a whole hour watching 30-second videos, right? And it's like, it's fucking wild. It's like the wildest thing to me that we're being wired this way, and it's a fight. We're literally fighting. We're fighting things and fighting battles internally and in the world that just because there's a war overseas, man, there might be a war within us. Within our mentality, within us, right? And those are the wars that I feel like we have more of a better chance of defeating than a war that's going on overseas in another country. Like, those are sad, right? Those are horrible things and occurrences, but at the end of the day, individually, we can't control that from happening.
Of course.
Maybe if we all got together, we can start a movement, but I know I'm not part of starting any movements other than the movement within myself. So, but yeah, man, I personally want to develop more discipline, or I feel like I'm disciplined with certain things, but it's not the right things to me, right? Like, all right, you're good at waking up in the morning with, your alarm wakes you up and going to work. That's great, right? But why aren't you good at working out, Gary? Why aren't you disciplined enough to work as hard as you do at your job on your life, right? These are questions I ask myself, and these are, my own internal battles and whatnot. But, like Pedro, like, man, you're working out, bro, hitting the gym. I honestly cannot remember the last time I got any physical activity, bro. It's like, it's wild, because I used to be very active, playing basketball, running.
I know.
And it's like, what the fuck happened to me? Like, like.
No, I'm gonna tell you what it is. Okay, so I don't know which podcast I said it in, but I used to do a lot of hours at work, right?
Yeah.
And the house was a mess. Like the front yard, the grass is long, backyard, trash everywhere outside. My room a mess, and but I would be the hardest worker at work, right? And my brother would tell me, man, like, you really are a hard worker, but you're lazy. And I said it one time, and I was like, bro, you're telling me I'm lazy when I'm like the hardest worker at work. I know how to do everything. How you saying I'm lazy? He just told me, shut up, bro, you're lazy. And I got offended. Because I know that I was a hard worker at work, but at the house I just wanted to chill, relax, watch movies. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then something just hit me. Something just hit me. I went through some things that you guys already know. And it hit me. I was like, what am I'm wasting my life, man. I'm wasting my full potential. And instead of just laying on the couch and doing nothing, and something just changed in me. I was like, you know what? I'm lazy. I am lazy. And I came to realization and I had to reflect that I'm lazy. I don't want to do nothing. I just want to lay down and eat garbage. and I'm not saying that I don't eat bad anymore, but I hardly drink soda. I drink soda here once in a while, but
Right.
I try to be more disciplined in that area. But with that being said, it's like I started doing house things. You know, I started taking care of my body. Okay, you know, started doing different things. I started going to see because I work nights. So my days, I used to work close to like 70, 80 hours a week, but now,
Wow.
but I used to work 3 jobs, you know, and then I went from that to now I'm only working 40 hours strictly. So now I have a lot more times in my hand where I'm able to write the book, I'm able to do a little bit of this, able to clean the house a little bit, go to the gym, be able to focus more on myself, but also I came to realization that that during this whole time I was like I'm not saying that it's not bad or it's wrong, but everything has to be done in moderation, you know. Like we just want to eat, and that was me, bro. Eat, or whatever it is, man. And instead of like, okay, you know what, like eat this, bro. I used to eat like freaking Goku, bro. Like you know, and but it came to the point where, and yes, I still do with Alex. but but uh but I try
Hey,
to
well,
be
at least Goku has some very well defined muscles. You know.
but 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 with that being said, it's all about again discipline and routine. Now, before anything, I came across something, and I'm a big Goku fan, right? I don't know if you guys are into DC or anything, but I'm a big Goku fan, and obviously you probably already know what I'm gonna ask. Maybe you guys can answer it. Maybe you guys can. But
Yeah.
I know this is animation, so but who would win, Goku or Superman?
I don't know. Pedro, if I'm being honest, bro, I don't know enough about Goku and his powers and all that stuff to kind of make a decision off of that.
Yeah.
I do know Superman though, but I don't know much about Goku. So
I
Alex,
don't like your opinion.
Goku.
no, but hey,
Goku
let me
has
add this.
rocks.
You should appreciate the fact that I didn't just be like, "Oh, Goku!"
No, I know.
Like I want to make a sound decision here. So
no, that was good, man. I respect your opinion.
He's like, I respect your opinion. It's wrong, but I respect your opinion.
I respect your opinion, but I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, go ahead.
Nah, I just feel Goku will probably win if he has the, what is it called? Kryptonite?
Yeah.
Kryptonite?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's a short and sweet answer.
All right, Pedro, I want to know more about Goku, and since we're on the topic of Goku, tell me more about him, bro, please. Because like I'm gonna go at some point today watch some videos on Goku because you post them a lot. You post Goku.
Yeah,
on
you
Facebook
post
a lot.
Goku.
Like,
What's up with that, fool? With your man crush Goku.
hey, it's all good. If you have okay, look, my favorite athlete is Aaron Donald of the LA Rams, and I think I overly post him. So
That dude's a tank.
not that I have a crush on him or anything. I admire his work ethic. So tell me more about Goku.
Same. I admire Goku because even though he's animation, you know, he overcame a lot of struggles. You know, he he was basically sent to Earth to destroy the Earth, and and his grandpa Gohan kind of like the head, and he became, I guess, a good kid. But he was like, I guess he was very like adventurous, you know. And what I like about him is that no matter what circumstances he may find himself in, like he always wanted to get better and get better and train and get better. That's just basically like what it is. Like he just wants. That's why I admire like him and like Vegeta. But like I admire those characters because they always want to they want to fight the best. You know, they want to get stronger. And when I was a fan growing up, but when I started hitting the gym, it kind of became like I guess like a source of motivation. You know, even though I hardly believe in motivation, but it became a kind of a source of motivation where I want to get stronger and I want to stay disciplined and train and all of that. You know.
Yeah.
But That's basically what it is. I know I
What's
didn't cover
Goku?
everything. I know I didn't. Huh?
What's Goku's superpower, or what's his greatest power, according to you?
Well, now it's Ultra Instinct, basically.
Ultra instincts.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Nice, nice.
Hey, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm pretty intrigued. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you got my ear right now, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we're all salespeople,
Yeah.
right? We can sell our perspective to somebody, and that person could be like, I'm not interested, or that person could be open and then find themselves interested. And that's where I'm at right now. Like, I like what I'm hearing you say about Goku, and I just I admire that you're a follower, and that even though it's a fictional character, right? It's actually a realistic character, right?
Yeah.
That you can find in individuals in this world. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's true.
pretty neat. So Ultra Instinct, that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Pretty dope.
What
Pretty
is
cool.
Ultra Instinct, Pedro?
What?
What is Ultra Instinct, Pedro?
Ultra Instinct is when you tell your basically you tell your body what to do. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even think about anything. Your body just does the movements. You know. And I'm gonna tell you this thing when and I already told you this, but I was really sick, right?
Yeah.
I was really sick. I was sick for a week. My head was hurting. I was eating nothing but soup and honey with tea for a whole week straight. I was coughing nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
And even when we were doing the first podcast or like the second podcast, I don't know if you noticed, but I was coughing a lot.
Mm.
And,
Yeah.
And then like I said, the whole week I was not the whole week, but I was laying in bed and I was like, I told myself, I'm just gonna lay here, you know. And I told myself, heck no, I'm not gonna lay here. Like, I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna go run. I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna get up. I'm not gonna be laying here, you know. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's kind of like a little definition of for myself what I think Ultra Instinct is just mind over matter, you know.
You know that Ultra Instinct actually comes from psychology, bro. Like, it's an actual psychological like thing. It's actually called flow. People refer to it as flow, but basically all it is, bro, is alpha waves basically in your brain, bro, that allow you to kind of go in autopilot mode while at the same time being concentrated. Mm-hmm. But it's called the state of flow. Like in the real world, that's what it's called.
Yeah, and I actually searched it up because you actually told me that it was real, and I was like, what? And I searched it up a while ago, and I seen like some people doing it, and I was like, that's cool.
Yeah,
you know,
it's called flow, the state of flow.
State of flow.
That's cool. That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything you guys want to
start applying?
What's up? No, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I was just thinking because I've heard of the state of flow. Like, I've heard the term. Really don't know much about the practice of it, but like the actual term flow, I've heard of that. And then
yeah, you heard of it, Gary.
Ultra Instinct. I've never heard of Ultra Instinct before. That's interesting.
But you heard of flow, and you did it a lot in high school.
That's a different type of flow.
No, yeah, but the state of flow, like, if I'm being honest, bro, if you watch Andrew Huberman, I would suggest that you guys watch him. He's actually a neurologist, and he studies a bunch of, like, brain function. So the state of flow is, I mean, the state in itself is something very hard or difficult for people to get into because, you know, just like we talked about, we have all of these stimulus, we have a bunch of things that we're constantly worried about or stressed about. But ultimately, like, they're still like researching and trying to make people kind of get into the state because basically your brain runs on different waves, and ultimately what they're trying to do is how can we get your brain to start producing alpha waves basically off the start. So like they want you to eventually be able to do kind of like deep work, bro, as soon as possible, because that's how deep work is done. You get me? I don't know if you guys ever been into I don't know, like, I don't know if you guys ever set aside, you know, time throughout your day and maybe sat down and just wrote a bunch of things, and you guys think that, oh, it's only been 15 minutes, and before you know it's been like an hour or two. That's basically the state of flow.
So when a person is in a state of flow, would you say they lose track or
time,
of time, or
Yeah.
or even the desire to even keep up with time? When
Yeah,
you're in a state of
basically,
flow,
like you're so like concentrated and kind of like just doing something, kind of like you said, like just automatically, basically. But it's so
mm,
concentrated to the point where like you don't even know that, or you don't even feel like you're concentrating. It doesn't feel like a task. You just kind of like lose yourself in it, whether it
yeah,
be like writing, running, martial arts, whatever it is that you're into. You feel me? Like you just kind of like are very locked in on whatever it is that you're doing, but it doesn't feel like
yeah,
you're grinding. You feel me? It's not like working out where like you get me, like you might be locked in and stuff, but like you're feeling every second of it. Like flow is just like it's so natural. Like it's just like it just like you're just doing deep work without like feeling like, oh, this is hard work. I don't know. I don't know how to put it into like the most like simplest terms. But that's basically what it is.
right. No, that makes a lot of sense to me. And just the word flow in and of itself, to me, is like movement without restrictions,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like like water in a river, right? It's
Yeah.
flowing, and there might be rocks and there might be things in the way, but it's literally still flowing, right? Nothing's stopping it from
Yeah.
flowing or
Mm-hmm.
moving.
I love that.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that's pretty interesting. What's the guy's name again? The neurologist?
Oh, Andrew Huberman.
Andrew Huberman. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to like.
Yeah.
Hey, remind me about that, Alex. Like, send me a message.
Yeah, I'll probably send over the podcast or the little Instagram page to Pedro, and he'll send it over to you.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, all I'm gonna do is when you send me the link, I'm just gonna share it in this group unless you guys leave the group. And I'm
No.
I'll be here.
No, that's fine.
No, I'll stay in the group. Like, I was even thinking of sending you a friend request earlier, to be honest, Alex. So.
No, yeah, send it, bro. Send it my way. If you're on Instagram, send it my way too, bro. I'll just follow back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted too, man. It's like for us just to connect, but obviously not just to connect for one time,
Yeah.
So it's cool that and I love that because it's always good to maybe we'll have an episode 2 with all of us, again,
Yeah.
or maybe y'all have it without me or whatever, etc. But cool for you guys to keep in touch. You know what I mean?
Got it.
No, yeah, for sure, bro. I mean,
couple questions, couple basic questions. The first one that comes to my mind is have you had any other guests before on any of the episodes?
Not yet.
So I'm the first one.
First one, bro.
All right. Cool. I feel good. And then second, how many episodes including this one, have you guys put out?
I believe this was gonna be the 8th one. We were supposed to have. This was supposed to be our 9th.
9.
But we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, us being adults, bro. It's like, hey, you think you can do it at this time? No, I had this going on. Hey, how about this time? No, I had this going on. How about this time? No, I'm not even home. Tomorrow. It never happened.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. That's kind of, if I'm being honest, because earlier, that's kind of the direction I thought I was going to head in, where we were going to reschedule it. Because Pedro had sent a few messages about moving the time, right? And I was like, oh, great. Like, a part of me was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh, fucking excuses, man. Like, what is it? Like what's really going on? But then I had a moment of reprieve where I was like, you know what? Like, he probably just got some shit going on right now. Like, it happens to everybody, But I was still hoping that it would happen today, and lo and behold, it did. We got through it, so I'm glad. Man, I feel very special, man. This is I'm the first guest. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That's cool.
Because damn, and the fact that you guys are 8 episodes into this, like, that's work. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to you guys for putting in the work, putting in the time. Like, because I listen to podcasts, right? I never thought I would ever be on one, right? And and I listen to other podcasts where they have a guest, right? And it's all special, man. So I appreciate you guys having me. And I can't wait to listen to it when you guys finally put it out, and just listen, because you get a different perspective, I think, right?
Yeah.
we're flowing right now.
Like,
now we
like,
get, and then after we're done flowing on this episode, we get to listen to it.
Mhm.
So it's just, I can't wait.
and it's crazy you say that because I know there's times I will go back and I'll listen to my music and I'm just like, that's crazy, and I criticize myself. I don't know if you ever done that with your music. And then
Yeah.
there's times when last time when I was at work and I was listening to the podcast number 7.
Yeah.
And one of the girls is like, "You listen to yourself?" That's weird. And I'm like,
you should have told her I even touch myself.
no.
Be like, yeah, because nobody else wants to. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
No. But check it out though. And I was like, yeah, I like to listen to just to learn.
Yeah.
Learn from it. Like you said, right now it's like a state of flow, but then you go back and you're like we talked about before, like the words, maybe we could have used different words or et cetera, and it just helps us grow as a person, as a character, like become more vocabulary. Understand?
Vocabulary. Nah, you know what's pretty wild, Pedro, is you said something about like, do you ever go back and listen to your own music? And I do. It's rare, but I do. And a few nights ago, I did that. I was listening to some of my songs, and bro, it brings back memories, of course, right?
Yeah.
And then it just listening, I'm like, damn, you got some fucking bars, Gary. Like it's like it's just crazy, and it's like this podcast, bro, is that we did this episode has a lot of wisdom in it. Let's just be real with ourselves. We may be humble guys, but we're not dumb, and we offered a lot of wisdom, a lot of insight, and just a lot of knowledge and experience in this time that we spent together. And to the audience, whoever that is that's going to listen to this, they're going to gain a lot, right? But we too, by listening to ourselves again, can gain a lot too. We can teach ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like if you look at it like from this perspective, like I'm thinking like, imagine if I remove me out of me so that me can listen to me, like that's how I look at it, right? Like
that's powerful.
I can't wait to like fucking listen to it later. So
no, yeah,
yeah.
I'm just happy that I got to basically meet you and get to know a little bit about yourself. And also, like going back to one of the first things that we talked about, I think you mentioned it, Gary. You were talking about how like there's a bunch of podcasts that talk a bunch of nonsense and they just be saying BS. And I think I mentioned this in the first podcast as well. Like I'll basically be scrolling through Instagram or YouTube Shorts or all of these short little videos that show little sections of people's podcasts, and it's like, damn, dude, like what type of use like of some of the topics that these people will be talking about has to society. Like there's people out here that talking about like getting with like 8 men at the same time, and it's just like, dude, like what are we doing? Like what message are we sending to society? And it's just like it's good that we're in a place right now where maybe it's a little bit more quality over quantity, right? Because we don't really have like a huge audience, but the things that we're talking about, they're real, bro, and they're as real as they get.
Yeah. And honestly, I love that. That not that we don't have a big audience. Like it's good if we don't or if we do, but every word that is said from all of you guys, or from you both,
you too.
Golden nuggets. Thank you. They're golden nuggets, And I'm gonna be honest, man. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from you, Gary, that I never knew. And honestly, like I seen it as not like a man. That's a Gary or sad Gary or that's crazy, but more like intelligent Gary, wise Gary, outgoing Gary. You didn't let neglection or whatever. You didn't put an excuse to make you the person. You know what I mean? And you keep finding ways to outgrow the. I'm not saying outgrow the old Gary, but to reflect and kind of like it's that you versus you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be this person, but this is what I'm gonna do to change, and this is what I need to do for my family or for whatever. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I see that in both of you, man. I see both of you guys grow in different perspectives in life because you're family, my blood, and you're family to me too, Gary. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're like a brother to me, and I've
Yes.
seen both of you guys. I've seen both of you guys grow to mature. We have our jokes, you know what I mean? But I've seen you guys grow, mature,
Yeah.
and honestly, man, I'm excited for what God has in store for us. And I know some of y'all believe and some of y'all don't, but uh,
No, I believe. I know when you say some of y'all don't, you're referring to me.
no, no, but I'm
Nah,
gonna tell you, we're gonna check it out though. But I don't mean it like that. I just mean like
nah,
either
just kidding.
you
But
know like what's gonna be in store for us in the future. But
yeah.
you said, I mean, you said it yourself. You didn't believe. So to me, when you barely mentioned it, I don't know if you called me, you text me, or you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
God, and I was like, wait a minute, what the heck? Because you didn't believe at the time, and you would not make fun of me, but you would never make fun of me. But you would say some things that I'm just like, like
Mm-hmm.
because you didn't believe. But to me, it was just like it was just surprising to me.
Yeah.
And I want to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I want to know what kind of change. I don't know if we still have time, Alex.
Yeah, we
Uh,
let's run it again for another. I don't know, another 10 minutes. Cool. Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
I wanted to see what
A long episode.
Yeah, it's probably the most we've
people,
uh, gone, but it's cool though. It's cool. Keep it running. Keep it
people
running.
are people are really gonna have to like listen to this in sections in their busy life.
It's all good. It's all
No,
good. They probably
I
have a
want.
long commute. In Cali, they be driving
Yeah.
fucking far as fuck.
Yeah.
20 what minute commute probably sometimes takes like an hour and a half
With
Yeah.
traffic.
with
But
traffic.
but
Yeah.
but with that being said, I want to know the last thing probably that I would ask Gary as a friend, as a brother, uh, somebody that really cares about both of you.
Yeah.
Uh, what was that thing that kind of like flipped the switch and it is funny because I've always wanted to ask you that question. What made you start believing? Like, what was it? What sparked it?
And believing in God.
Yeah, like what? Because you didn't believe before, so
Mm, let's see. I would say this feeling of powerlessness,
mm,
like just feeling at the lowest of low in my life, right? And feeling like damn, like I need help, like and I'm not either I'm not reaching out to the people in my life for help, or what have you, but I think I just wanted to seek a power greater than me, and I think to me, you may agree or you may not, and the audience may agree or may not, but I think the word God is just a term, right? It's so
yeah,
much more than just the word to me, right? It's a lot of things, and I think I've come to realize that a power greater than us, or a source greater than us, exists, and it's personal, and it may be different for everybody, right? Like my experience of God or is it can be very similar to yours, but then there's also a uniqueness to it, and it's I think also that like I subscribe to this belief that whatever created us made us creators, right? Like we have this ability to create,
Yeah.
right? And through work and through our imagination and all these things combined, not just one alone, but all of them combined give us this ability. So back to your question about what sparked that, I would just say just going through what I was going through at the time, because when I was a kid, I was going through a lot, but I never turned to God then, and I look back on that now, and I'm like, I wonder why. But
yeah,
when I was going through things a few years ago, I decided to turn to God. Like,
yeah,
why didn't I do it back when I was a kid? Why didn't I do it when I was a teenager or 20 years old? It. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I don't know the answer to that, but I did it either way. Like I turned to
yeah.
God, right? And I kind of pull, like, there's religion, there's spirituality, there's various religious texts out there,
Yeah.
from the Bible to the Quran to all these different, like, holy and religious texts, right? And then you can take pieces and bits from each one.
Yeah.
One thing I find is that they're all kind of very similar in their teachings, right? So yeah, that's what changed. It was I was going through a hard time in my life, a dark place, a place where I felt I couldn't escape it, and I turned to this concept of God, and I started this relationship, right? And it's still ongoing right now, and I'm still kind of learning a lot. And the reason why, like, if I'm being honest, I turned away from biblical texts and teachings and religion altogether was because I was just I was only exposed to the negative things about it, and like oppressing people because God said so, or because this text says so, you know. And that was a turnoff for me, and that's why I didn't get into it, because I was like, wow, like, you know, like, people are being enslaved and being taught that this Bible is their, you know, and Jesus Christ is their savior, but the people that are telling them this are the same ones that are enslaving them, which to me was like the biggest
turn off.
Yeah, like turn off, or whatever word you want to use, but it just didn't make any sense to me, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm a person that likes to look at things from a logical and rational standpoint, and to me, it was neither one of those things, you know.
Yeah, I feel you, and I guess I would say the last thing that you said, kind of the last thing you said, the key word is just a relationship. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not perfect, but I try to have a relationship with my creator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that relationship, and I'll leave it at that. You know.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, man. I love you, Gary. Love you, Alex.
I love you too, bro.
Love you guys, bro.
Like I said, I can't wait for the next chapter. Episode number 9, brother.
Episode number 9.
And
Yeah.
hopefully we get to have another episode with Gary. You know.
Yeah. No, totally. I'd say like, do you guys approach each podcast with like a topic in mind, or various topics in mind, or you kind of just freestyle it?
Yeah, we just try to freestyle, bro. Just because I felt that, like, I've done and created videos and done YouTube concepts, and I feel like a lot of times when you're just kind of like going off of like a script, or just have like a bunch of ideas in mind, it kind of like forces your mind to kind of like try to get through all of these ideas as fast as we can. And sometimes like we sound very robotic, or it sounds like the transitions themselves kind of seem a little bit odd or weird. So I felt like if we just freestyled it and just basically, talked about what was on top of our head, basically, like, it was just easier for us to just keep the conversation going, almost trying to make like this podcast just seem like a regular conversation, a dude conversation, basically.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I mean, neither approach to me is good, or it's not bad. Like, having a topic is not a bad thing. Going into a podcast with a topic in mind is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, I've listened to podcasts that were only 5 minutes long, right? And I'm like thinking, like, wow, that's it. But then if you think about it, this person offered 5 minutes of their time on a specific topic.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So it's good too.
Yeah.
You know, it can go on for an hour, it can go 30 minutes. Like, we're creators, right? Mm-hmm. So this ability to create means that you have the ability to dictate where it goes, right? Mm-hmm. You can cut it off when you want to. You can shift when you want to. So, and that's the beauty of having your of creating your own content. So that's just my little offering there. So anyways, thank you guys for having me. I look forward to the next episode, whenever that is, whenever you guys feel the need to invite me. If we can work it out schedule wise, then I'm all for it, you know. So yeah.
You said another keyword.
No, yeah. So before we end it, though, I do want to give you, my thanks, my gratitude for you taking the time of your day to actually be here and chilling with us. You feel me? And I think that this is something I always ask Pedro, but since you're the guest here, I'll ask you. So, what's one piece of advice you would give the viewers in this moment?
This moment?
In this moment, bro.
All right. I would say invest in yourself. That's it. Just invest in yourself, and whether you know what that exactly means in this moment, or as the viewer, as the listener, if you know what it means, if you already know what it means when you hear invest in yourself, good. If you don't know what it means yet, find out. That's what I would say. So,
all right. Thank you, guys.
thank you.
All right. Have a good
Peace
one,
out,
guys.
man.
Peace out,
Peace out.
guys.
You too.
Happy Sunday.